Hi, I'm Jackie Wilhelm. I'm the Director of Children's Ministry at Crossroads Christian Church in St. Matthews. This month, we're talking about integrity. What's integrity? Integrity is choosing to be truthful in everything that you say and do. It means dropping the act. It means not faking it. It means being the real you wherever you are. You don't need to hide or pretend. You can choose to follow God with everything that you say and do. Today's Bible story makes that point very well. It's in the book of Daniel, which is in the Old Testament, but wow, look how far back in the Old Testament. And guess who it's about? It's about Daniel. You might be familiar with the story of Daniel in the lion's den. But before that ever happened, Daniel was a young man living in the land of Judah. During that time, the people of Judah weren't exactly following God and worshiping God like they should. So the king of Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar, he came along and took over their kingdom. He was not a nice guy. King Nebuchadnezzar was afraid that maybe some of God's people would fight back. So he decided to take some of the young, stronger men back to Babylon with him. King Nebuchadnezzar's right-hand man was Ashpenaz. And when he got those young men back to Babylon, he told Ashpenaz that he wanted him to choose the smartest and the healthiest among them to come work in King Nebuchadnezzar's castle. Among the smart, healthy young men that Ashpenaz chose were Daniel and 3 of his friends. I can just imagine their conversations on the way to the castle. Where will we live? What will they do to us? I hope there's good food. God will be with us wherever we go. The king wanted Daniel and his friends to be more like Babylonians, so Ashpenaz was supposed to take 3 years to train them on Babylonian writings and the Babylonian language.
After 3 years, you'll be very important and you'll serve me.
Part of becoming Babylonians meant getting new names. So Hananiah, he became Shadrach. Mishael became Meshach. Azariah became Abednego. Daniel's name became Belteshazzar, but let's just stick to Daniel. The king ordered his servants to be sure that the young men from Judah were fed the same food that the king was fed. Problem was, that wasn't the sort of food that these men were used to eating to honor God. So, Daniel asked Ashpenaz for permission to eat the way they were used to eating.
But the king is my master, and if you start to look frail and unhealthy because you're not eating the food he's sending you, then I'll get in trouble. I just can't do that.
So, since Ashpenaz was too afraid to do what Daniel asked, Daniel made a deal with one of the guards. Listen, he said, why don't you just feed us vegetables and water for the next 10 days? And if we start to look frail and unhealthy, I promise you we'll eat the king's food. The guard agreed. I'm sure it was really hard for them to turn down such delicious looking food. But after 10 days, guess who was looking healthy and well fed? These guys. The guard continued to allow Daniel and his friends to eat the way they wanted to, God's way. And God continued to allow Daniel and his friends knowledge and understanding as they studied. At the end of their training, they were brought before the king.
Okay, gentlemen, let's see how smart you are. How many ounces are there in 2 cups of olive oil?
Oh, I know, 16.
And what do you call a group of wild turkeys?
That's a rafter, sir.
How many eggs can you put in an empty basket?
1. After that, it isn't empty anymore.
Oh my, how smart you all are.
Okay, those probably weren't the questions. But the king did find out that, wow, Daniel and his friends were really wise. They became his most trusted advisors. He decided he needed them on his team. Listen to this. He asked them for advice in matters that required wisdom and understanding. He always found their answers to be the best. In fact, the men were 10 times better than anyone in his kingdom who claimed to get knowledge by using magic. Wow! Even though Daniel and his friends served the king of Babylon, they never stopped serving the one true God with everything that they said and did. By following the one true God, Daniel and his friends lived out integrity. They didn't just say and do the right things. Doing the right things, that's who they were. You and I can follow their example. We can be truthful with our whole lives. God's way is worth following with our whole lives. Daniel and his friends certainly believed that was true. They lived truthfully with everything they said and did, even when it came to the food they ate. This month's memory verse might help us remember to live with integrity. It's Proverbs 10:9. Anyone who lives without blame walks safely, but anyone who takes a crooked path will get caught. We can learn to live truthful lives too, and I can't wait to learn more about that with you next week. Goodbye.